Narrative.
Okay, good. An ode and a narrative. Good job. The next thing we're going to look at is we're going to look at the topic. So overall, what is this about? Summarizing what's going on in a poem. Then we're going to look at the narrator, so the point of view, the word choice, the tone, literary devices, the meaning of the poem, and the value of the poem. So I'm actually going to have you guys draw a line in this graphic organizer and put a little box for meaning right under literary devices. So we're going to make a box because it's important after we go through all that stuff, we're able to say, okay, this is what the author meant when he was writing the poem. Go ahead. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to read this poem aloud, and I want you guys following along. As I read it aloud, Nitra, try it again. As we read it aloud, I'm going to, on the overhead, be marking really important things. And it is so important that you guys are actively listening to me and paying attention as I think through this, because you're going to have to do it in a matter of minutes. And if you don't listen to me right now and follow along with my thought process, you're not going to be successful when you do this on your own. So as we go through this, what do you need to be doing and how do you need to be doing it? Raise your hand. Okay, good. You're going to be silent. What else? Desmond, how else are you going to act as I'm reading through this and doing my thought process? Yeah, but silently, what else? Not just silently. Wilton?
Actively listening.
Actively listening, yes, thank you, Wilton. You're going to be actively listening as we go through this and following along on the graphic organizer. These poems are yours to keep, so you need to write all over them and write what I write on the poem, because that's another really important thing good readers do. Okay, so I'm going to read this aloud like I said. The very first thing you always need to do is read the title and the subtitles if there are any subtitles. So this poem is Charge of the Light Brigade by Alfred Lord Tennyson. And the subtitle says that it's about events in a battle. So I think that that's really important. I'm going to circle that word so I know that going into this, it's going to be about a battle. Donovan? Oh, can you come up and grab it? Okay, so yeah. Yep. So I'm going to keep that in mind as I'm reading through this because it's really important. It seems really important. Okay, so everybody's eyes need to be on this poem as we're reading through it. Eyes on the phone, please. Half a league onward, all in the valley of death, rode the 600. Forward the light brigade, charge for the guns, he said, into the valley of death, rode the 600. Forward the light brigade, was there a man dismayed? Not though the soldier knew. Someone had blundered. There's not to make reply, there's not to reason why. There's but to do and die. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon in front of them. Volleyed and thundered, storm with shot and shell. Boldly they rode, and well, into the jaws of death, into the mouth of hell rode the 600. Flashed all their sabers bare, flashed as they turned in air, sabering the gunners there, charging an army well. All the world wondered, plunged into the battery's smoke, right through the line they broke. Cossack and Russian reeled from their saber stroke, shattered and sundered, they rode back, but not the 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon behind them, volleyed and thundered, stormed with shot and shell, while horses and heroes fell. They that fought so well came through the jaws of death, back from the mouth of hell, all that was left of them, left of 600. When can their glory fade? Oh, the wild charge they made, all the world wondered. Honor the charge they made, honor the light brigade, noble 600. Okay, so when I read through that, I noticed that Tennyson uses a lot of repetition. And so I'm going to underline some of those parts of this poem that I feel are really important that he keeps repeating. So he keeps repeating this idea of the valley of death, so I'm going to underline that. So he keeps talking about death, all of this death that's occurring. And that tells me that these soldiers really knew what they were getting themselves into. They knew that they were going to die. Yeah. Okay, remember, this is me thinking aloud, but I'm definitely going to come back to you on the next poem so you can share out. Okay, so also, he keeps talking about in the first 3 stanzas how the 600 rode into it, but then when he gets to the next couple of stanzas, he's talking about how the 600 are not 600 anymore. So they're not the 600, only the ones left of them are coming back from it. I also really, really like how he used this volleyed and thundered and stormed twice in here, because that really shows how intense this poem is. So I'm going to write up here intense so it reminds me. And then he wrote the wild charge they made. So this tells me that these soldiers were fearless. Because if they know they're going into death, but they made this wild charge, that obviously means that they're really, really courageous. So you guys need to be looking at this and doing exactly what I do on your phone. And then the last thing I'm going to underline is this idea of honor, because this tells me that Tennyson wants us to really respect and pay tribute to these soldiers. Okay, so now that I've kind of broken apart this poem just after the first time I read it.
What about cannons to the right and left?
Yeah, that's really important too. Good, because that helps us with what? Does it help us with visualizing? What does it help us with?
Like they're about to get killed.
Hmm?
They're about to get killed.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll go ahead and underline that. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. For now? Which one? Fearless. Okay, so now that I've gone through and I've kind of annotated this poem, don't worry, the poem will be back up so you guys can copy it down in a second. I'm going to go to my graphic organizer. And so I'm going to go through these steps to really analyze this poem. And it gets me to break down my thought process, so I'm making sure I take everything into consideration. Okay, and your eyes need to be on me when I'm talking. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to look at is the form of the poem. And after reading this, I feel like there's really a story going on here. I feel like I could follow through the soldier's journey. So this is a narrative poem. So I'm able to tell it's a narrative poem because it tells a story. So Desmond, why is it a narrative poem and not an epic poem?
Because there's some story and it's not really focused on one hero.
Good, it's not focused on one hero. What else? What else is a really key part of an epic?
It's not that long.
Right. Epics are really, really long, and this poem is obviously not that long. Great job, Desmond. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to summarize this poem. I'm going to figure out what the topic is so that when I'm analyzing it, I'm making sure I'm analyzing the right stuff. So this poem really seems like it's talking about the Light Brigade, which contained these really brave men, and how they went into a battle knowing that they were up against death. So that's what I'm going to write. I'm going to write, it's about 600 brave men who went into a deadly battle. So I know that because he keeps repeating they're going into the valley of death and how brave they are as they go into it. They're fearless. Ashley, I need your head up. Ruby, I need your head up, your eyes on the screen, and you need to be following along. We're now on the graphic organizer, so I should see that in front of you. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to, do you have a question? Elegy? Yeah, that's a great, yeah. Elegies definitely do talk a lot about death, and although this poem is really paying tribute to these soldiers who died,